Hello, everyone, and welcome. It's 2:15. We're going to go ahead and get this session kicked off and started. My name's Diane Fleeser, and I'm an April board member, an Army veteran, and facilitator of the call today. Thank you all for joining us for this workshop called The Doorway to Helping Rural Veterans. I want to mention a few housekeeping items before we get started today. First, when you scroll over the screen, a menu bar pops up. Depending on what device you are on, you can find that menu bar at the top or at the bottom of the screen. There is where you will find the closed captioning for today's session. You can view the captioning by selecting the CC tab on the menu bar. For sign language interpreting, you can find the interpreter on the main screen. If you do not see the interpreter, make sure that you are in gallery view. That will allow you to see more than one person at a time. The interpreter should pop up there. To join into the chat, please find the word bubble in that same menu bar. Once that is selected, that will allow you to follow along with the chat or add in your comments. For Q&A times, please note that there is a special Q&A box on the menu bar. Please only submit questions there as they may get lost in the chat, although I will do my best to try to keep all of the questions recorded. To ask a question or make a comment, you can also select the hand raising option on the menu, and that allows us to know you have a question. For those of you on the phone today, we ask that you press *9 on your keypad to raise your hand, and then we'll be able to unmute you that way. Remember, if you join into the conversation, please keep all background noise down as much as possible so we can all hear you clearly. And with that, we're happy to introduce Jen Morgan and Rob Ferris. I'll turn it over to you.
Hi, thank you so much, Diane, for kicking us off here. Rob and I are very excited to be with you this afternoon. We're here in Salt Lake City, Utah, and I'm really excited to be able to share with you some of our expertise in how to navigate the VA, and then Rob is going to share with you all his experience as an Army veteran. So I'm working on getting the slide moving. There we go. So our presentation today is a doorway to helping rural veterans. And before we kick this off, we're going to start off with a poll. So if we could launch that poll, that would be terrific. So the first question is, if you wouldn't mind participating, is have you served in the military? Yes or no? And then I think we have a second question as well. Okay, it looks like we have a few, 3 right now that responded that they have served in the military. And then do we have one more question? Well, we'll move on. And I'll say thank you for your service. So I want to start off with how I got involved with working with the VA and learning how to navigate the many doors of VA. In 2012, I was the Utah ADRC director, and we were very curious on how agencies were working with their veteran clients. So we did a national survey and asked, questions, basically a lot around, do staff ask callers of their veteran status? And many of them said that they often do, but it really felt like it was more of a demographic question. And some of the feedback that we got from that survey was that staff felt like they lacked basic information about most VA benefits, that they might have VA resources that weren't that helpful, And the most positive impact they had was when the resources, when they had an individual that they knew at the VA that could help them. So then we wanted to also look at how veterans get connected to their benefits. And so we took a 2010 VA report that said that 41% of veterans understood their VA benefits a lot or some. And there were some misperceptions that veterans believed that, you know, they weren't applying for benefits because they felt like their income may be too high, that they may not be eligible because they didn't serve during a combat or wartime era, and other veterans are more deserving. So we took those two, you know, gaps, and we felt like, how could our community agencies help fill some of those gaps? How could we kind of amp up agency staff, their knowledge on VA benefits? So we pitched an idea to the Office of Rural Health, and it's called Cover to Cover, Connecting Older Veterans, especially rural, to community or veteran eligible resources. So our objectives were to provide training events to community-based organizations. We had area agencies on aging, centers for independent living, Medicaid, 211. We provided training opportunities, and many people were interested in learning more about the VA. We wanted to create a new access point for veterans within their community, and then to build relationships between the community agencies and the state veteran agencies and the VA. So to start off, we started doing like monthly VA benefits training. And this just lists some of the topics that we were receiving training in. VA organizational structure, service branches, military culture, VHA healthcare, VHA in-home services, caregiver support, pension, aid in attendance, burial benefits, disability compensation, home modifications, VA nursing home, vet center. Sounds like a lot. It can be overwhelming. There's so many, I will say, doorways to VA, and there is so much to learn about the VA. So we would, basically I would organize with our local VA and ask them if they would come to staff meetings or a training event and tell us more about VA benefits. And really, I would say 99% of the time, they were happy to come out and tell us what they had to offer. And typically VA staff do have what I say PowerPoints in their pocket, and many of them have aims to connect to the community. And so it really is an opportunity that VA is willing to do. So when we started, we really just looked at, we want to know all about VA benefits. And in the first few months, we didn't talk about VA organization. And I really believe that this is the groundwork. It's the platform. You know, you really need to understand what each doorway of the VA is. So when you're calling or knocking on that door, you know what avenue you're going down. So I'm just going to talk a little bit basic navigation of the VA. So when you're in your community, you'll know different ways that you could connect to different types of benefits, or to just talk to somebody to tell you more about. So we have the Veterans Benefit Administration, or you might hear it called the VBA, and that branch provides financial and other forms of assistance. So pension, aid in attendance, service connection disability. The Veterans Health Administration is the VHA, and they provide health care. And then the National Cemetery Administration, NCA, provides burial benefits and manages the VA's national cemeteries. So 3 federal branches, and they typically do not coordinate much with each other, or really which makes it a little bit more challenging. So, but that's good to know. So then we also have State Department of Veteran Affairs. So every state has a State Department of Veterans Affairs, and many of them, most of them house their veteran service officers, which VSO, which can help veterans on benefit counseling as well as filing a claim. So I've put the link on here. You can click on it and it can take you directly to the page, and you can pick your state. There are also some state specific benefits for veterans. So they are a great resource. We partnered very closely with our Utah Department of Veteran and Military Affairs. So I want to provide a picture. So we have our picture of our VA campus here in Salt Lake City. And it's rather large. We have over 18 buildings on the campus. So you will find the VHA, so we have the hospital. We have the VBA, so Veteran Benefits Administration, which sometimes is referenced as the regional office, the RO, the State Department of Veteran Affairs, and the Veterans Home, which is a veterans nursing home. So they, often we hear the VA. And so really, if you're working with a veteran that says, oh, I went to the VA and I wasn't eligible, it's really important to ask another question. What did you apply for? Who did you talk to? Because just because a veteran might not be eligible for a benefit in one of those pathways, if they're not eligible for healthcare, it doesn't mean that they may not be eligible for a VBA benefit. So I just kind of wanted to give you that kind of big picture, that the VA encompasses many branches. And so for rural settings, I just also want to throw out there that there are, on the VHA is community-based outpatient clinic. Could be referred as a CBOC or a VA clinic. As you'll learn, not only military culture is important, but a lot of acronyms and a lot of different names for the same thing. So the Veterans Health Administration has over 8,000 CBOCs and continues to expand in rural areas. I've included a link on this page that you can find the closest VA clinic nearest to you. So typically, if a veteran is connected to a VA healthcare system, they may be able to be seen closer to their home, which may be in a rural area. Traditionally, they really want veterans, once they sign up, to be seen at the larger healthcare system, to establish a primary care provider. But due to COVID, there has been a lot of expansion to telehealth. And so there may be exceptions, always worth asking. And then community care, where veterans can receive treatment within the community, which has to be approved before they do that. Another new benefit that came about, I think about a year ago or so, is the urgent care. They can go to an urgent care within their community as well. So, cold, anything, it's not ER visit, but it is a great benefit. And I've provided a link for you to find where those approved urgent care are located, as well as a link for a veteran to print out an urgent care card. And just be reminded that veterans must be enrolled in the VA healthcare, and it may depend on their priority group. And you'll find I'm not talking about benefits today. I'm talking about navigating, because I think that it's such an important piece of helping veterans and helping you open doors to create connections with people that work at the VA closest to you. And I would suggest, hopefully after this workshop, that you would be able to search out somebody locally that you could call and say, hey, we'd be interested in learning more about healthcare benefits. could you provide us a presentation for that? So my next slide is navigating your local VHA, or again, VAMC. You'll hear different lingo for kind of the same thing. So this slide, I'm sorry, is very busy, but I just wanted to point out what I did to get here. So I Googled VAMC plus Oregon, and I got the list of all the healthcare systems, and I selected Roseburg VA Healthcare System. And this is basically the main page, or their doorway into their what this particular healthcare system offers. On the top, when you open this page, on the top of the bar, you'll see tabs along the top. And this is basically federal information. You're going to see health, which is VHA, benefits, VBA, burial and memorials, resources along the top. So that can give you some broad information. If we go down to the middle of the page, on the left side, there are gray tabs. And the gray tabs basically are the gateway into that local VA. So, you know, I think it's just tremendous to be able to, there's one that says contact us. You click on there, you can find the local phone numbers. And then there's also a tab for to become a patient. And then on the become a patient, enrolling in VA healthcare, it gives you very specific description on how somebody would do that. All veterans can submit a application online. They can print it out and mail it. When COVID isn't quite, you know, hopefully when things settle down, literally a veteran can walk into a healthcare center and fill out an application. The healthcare form is only 2 pages. So it's not that complicated, honestly. And, but it is to be noted that a veteran must have a DD-214. On this become a patient, now that you're in the doorway of this specific VA, I've highlighted at the bottom, it gives you an eligibility office that's a local with the extension so you can dial directly in. Okay, so I realized that I missed one poll that we were going to do a moment ago. So I have some polls under Navigating VA. Could we launch those now? So the first question is, I know the location and the name of the closest VA to my home or work. Yes or no? Okay, and I've got a total of 4 questions. So if we could go to the next question.
Okay, there's a couple more people still voting.
Oh, good, good. Okay, good, good.
Give them a couple more seconds. All right.
Oh, good, good. So 79% stated they know. Okay, so let's see the next question. I have been inside or toward a VA medical center before, or we could say a VA healthcare system. Yes or no? And clearly, as I mentioned before, many of the medical centers are somewhat on a campus, so there might be multiple buildings or locations on that campus. But right now, we're just focusing on healthcare.
That looks like most people have polled by now.
Okay, so 40% have. That's great. And then we'll go on to the next question. I think that's just a great opportunity, again, to introduce yourself and, you know, go in and well, I realize COVID is restricting many things, but it's a great way to go in and just say, hey, I'd love to speak to the eligibility specialist, or give them a call and introduce yourself. Okay, I think we have another question. I have made attempts at connecting with a VA without success. Yes or no? I know that one of the trainings we had, somebody said that they would get so frustrated in not finding the right door, and once they found the right door, they felt like they hit a brick wall. So we're hoping that with providing some navigation tools that this might get easier.
Okay, looks like everybody's pretty much done with that one.
Okay, so there's been a few. It looks like I guess 31% I said that they did not have success. So, okay, and then we have one more question. I have a contact at the VA who helps me navigate services. Yes or no, but I would like to. When we had our training events, we would, the people that would come and do the training, we would ask them for their business card and ask them if we could dial them directly, if we had any questions afterwards. And typically they've been very open to do so.
All right. Wait, there's a couple more people. All right.
Yeah, so we have a few. Okay, 73%. Okay, good. 73 do not have one yet. So hopefully this workshop and some of these links and will help get you closer. And I'd love, I'm definitely a resource if anybody's interested in how to map that out. Okay, thank you so much. We'll go ahead and move along. Thank you for participating in that. It's always good to know how engaged you might be or may not be with the VA in your area. So beyond the training that we did with the Cover to Cover program, we also had to really look at how we were engaging with our veteran clients. We had thought that, hey, we'll get this training and we'll be able to provide some basic benefit information. We didn't know if we would have to do a lot of research, outreach to do this, but what we found is veterans were already calling us. But it's important, we switched how we were asking the question. And rather than asking, are you a veteran? We asked, have you or a loved one served in the military? And, following those would be, have you ever accessed your veteran benefits? Have you ever enrolled in VA for healthcare? And when did you serve? It's really about building that trust with veterans and just asking some simple questions of, when did you serve? Where did you serve? What job did you have when you served in the military? Really is helpful in building that rapport with your clients. Okay, I'm frozen here. Hang on one sec. Okay, there we go. Okay, so why is it important to ask that question? Those who have served do not always identify as a veteran. That might sound kind of strange, but it is true. And it is very important to ask, have you served in the military? Asking the question, helps veterans feel understood and respected for their military service. It can help you make effective referrals to veteran-specific programs, can identify veteran widows that may be eligible for benefits. Through the Cover to Cover program, we were able to serve many widows and help get them connected. Sometimes they are eligible for a benefit. And it helps build rapport and trust with your veteran clients. So I would just encourage you to see, how you are interacting and asking that question with consumers at your centers, and really making this small pivot can help expand the net and connect to more veterans that are already calling you. So that is it for my sections. I've got my 3 doors here. Do you have any questions for me now? If there are any, I can take those. We're going to shift to Rob, and we also will have time at the very end to answer any questions you may have.
I do not see any questions in the Q&A box. Remember, if you have a question, you can also raise your hand. Or press *9.
Well, I know that's a lot to kind of digest, so there'll be time at the end to ask questions. And
I was going to say, one just came in. Do you want to answer that one?
Sure.
Says, can you elaborate more on the cover-to-cover?
Oh, sorry, Diane.
Oh, sorry.
I went ahead and unmuted the person on the phone, so you can go ahead, or the computer, so you can go ahead, and then Diane will go over to you.
Okay, so I'm just wondering what exactly is the starting point from the cover-to-cover program. When somebody wants to start, what would be the best way? And if you could also share your contacts so for a follow-up, I would love to. Thank you.
Absolutely. Sure. So the cover-to-cover program was funded by the Office of Rural Health from 2013 to 2017. And we were able to utilize these funds to not only have these trainings, but each of our agencies designated a veteran benefits specialist. And so we really were able to provide benefits, counseling, and some of those benefits specialists actually became veteran service officers. So we have that embedded into the agency. At the end of 2017, the funding ended from the Office of Rural Health. We did expand the program to 4 other states, and many of those agencies are still, they found sustainment monies through different avenues. And so many of them are still working with the program. Currently, I'm working with the state of Pennsylvania to provide some of these navigation trainings and help them develop how they can get a plan to get VA in there to provide them some training. And yes, my contact information is on the end of the slide deck, as well as you can find out more about the program on www.utadrc.org. So, and that's on the last slide as well. Thank you for your question.
Hi, Jen. It looks like you have another question from Stacy. She says, I appreciate you taking your time to do this. Are there some guides for more intensive training on learning the benefits better? I live in rural Colorado and it is very misunderstood.
Yes, so we actually worked with an agency, the in Grand Junction. And yes, definitely. There's, I would again refer to the website. There's some ideas of, on the resource tab, we have examples of agendas if you wanted to hold your own training. Veteran service officers, some I know in Colorado, there's veteran service officers, and then each county has a veteran service officer. So tapping into who that person is would be a great resource to provide some training on benefits. And so, yeah, I check out the website. I'm happy to help. You can email me. I'm happy to help help you kind of lay that map out on who could be the best resources. And if you're anywhere close to Mesa County, I've got a great resource there that actually was a veteran benefit specialist and is now a VSO.
Thanks, Jen. I'm not seeing any more questions in the Q&A, so we can move on to Rob if you guys are ready.
Yes, that sounds great. Okay, Rob, you're up.
Hi. It's kind of strange doing conferences or sessions via Zoom. You're used to having an audience you can play off of, and that's not here. But okay, we'll move on. This first slide right here, there's 5 major branches in the military: the Army, the Marines, Navy, Air Force, and the Coast Guard. And this first slide just kind of shows all the different emblems. Now, you still have the subgroups that go with them, like the reserves and the National Guards for each. But even though there are 5 branches of the military, we are really all one. Next slide. So, understanding military culture 101. This is a whole different world. For those who have never served, to kind of understand or to peek into military culture, it's a different view, worldview, a different perspective of life, and actually just what it means to be a veteran. There's a phrase, esprit de corps, Latin phrase, esprit de corps, and it really means group spirit. And Webster defines it as a sense of unity, of common interests and responsibilities, as developed among a group of persons closely associated in task, cause, enterprise, etc. Or it is a conscious of the pride in belonging to a particular group, the sense of shared purpose and fellowship. And the third one, the feeling of camaraderie among members of a group or an organization. And again, it's from the French word meaning group spirit. There's a picture on this slide of an inter-service ceremony where we have all 5 branches being represented in a parade field. For you to understand military culture, you need to understand that for us, it's more than a job or a career. We know that a job is something we do to pay the bills until we discover what we want to be when we grow up, and then we start our careers. But in the military, we're on 24/7. There is no 9 to 5 quitting time. A soldier is on all day, every day, and we've given up our own individual freedoms to protect American freedoms. In the workplace, if you don't like your job, you can just quit. And many people do that all the time. I'm a CEO of a company, so I know people who don't like it, they just move on. But as a soldier, we have not only a moral but a legal obligation to fulfill a contract. The military lifestyle is one of camaraderie, but it's community, and it encompasses the whole family. The whole family is involved in the overall mission of being a soldier. This is why the mindset of a veteran is vastly different than someone who has actually never served. A veteran's viewpoint, worldview, how they prioritize their lives, and even how they prioritize what they do in the civilian life is completely different. The great sacrifice. One of the things that we learn early on being in the Army is that soldiers and their families sacrifice a lot, including their own free will. Time away from family during deployments, having to move every 2 to 3 years. When I was in the Army, we moved every 2 to 3 years, unless it was a hardship tour where I was just gone from my family for a whole year. But whenever we moved, my family had to move with me. They had to pack up, leave their jobs, their schools, and it puts a lot of strain on the family. It puts a lot of pressure, and it takes its toll on marriages, family life. As a matter of fact, studies have concluded that the stress of combat or just the very nature of military service makes the military one of the highest divorce rate occupations. And of course, there's also the bigger sacrifice of the loss of life or limb. It is because of this voluntary sacrifice that veterans will compartmentalize their feelings and their inner thoughts for fear that they'll be seen as weak. We don't ask for help. It's one of the things that we're taught is self-sufficiency, getting out there and doing what needs to be done. And, you know, you hear a soldier always saying, suck it up and deal with it. And that's what we do. We'll go out there and we'll deal with things on our own. All the military branches have their own core values. However, they all share honor as one of those core values. The Army is loyalty, duty, respect, service, honor, integrity, and personal courage. The Navy and the Marine Corps have the same core values because they're kind of one. But honor, courage, and commitment are theirs. Air Force has integrity, service before self, excellence, and honor. Coast Guard is honor, respect, devotion to duty. Honor is repeated in each of these because it encompasses the true meaning of service. Dictionary.com defines honor as honesty, fairness, or integrity of one's beliefs and actions. High respect as for worth, merit, or rank. High public esteem, fame, or glory. The privilege of being associated with or receiving a favor from a respected person, group, organization, etc. To understand the military culture is to understand military traits and what make up that culture. Many words are thrown around in the workplace or in civilian culture, and they fail to grasp the true meaning for a soldier or a veteran. Words like diversity or tolerance we see in the news all day, every day now. And to a soldier, we have a firm understanding of what it means to be diverse. We have to go into battle with people from all different races, cultures, and religions. They have to look out for each other, and you have to trust the person that's next to you. So they do this regardless of what ethnicity or gender, religion, or age that person next to you is. In the Army, we had a saying that we only see one color, and that's green. That's because when I was in, that was the color of our uniforms was green. Today, I guess you could say that all we see is desert tan, so new uniforms. Other traits that we see in our soldiers, our veterans, is they're highly structured. We have a very structured lifestyle in the military. We have a code of conduct that we follow. Strong work ethics. Everybody works and pulls their own weight. We're mission-driven, purpose-driven. We're loyal, disciplined. Again, that word is esprit de corps, teamwork, and self-reliance. Now, we can sit here and talk about all those traits, but understanding military culture means that we look at that self-reliance one. On this slide here, there's many pictures of myself. I'm not vain. I just thought it would be a good visual because when I say that I grew up in the military, I literally did. I went in the Army when I was 17. Those first 5 pictures are my first 6 years of military service. I became an adult in the Army. So for me, the military was my lifestyle. As a matter of fact, I come from a military family. Every male in my family from my generation back, except for one uncle, served in one of the branches of the military. These bottom pictures show different duty assignments, the first 2. The last 3, the middle one there, I'm in my dress blues, and this was actually taken not that long ago, which is quite an accomplishment that I still fit in my dress blues, but this was, when I entered the Army, I was 36 years ago, so that was quite the feat. And then I have my son in that picture. And then the last picture shows me in my company shirt. I'm wearing one now. as a CEO of a company of 170 employees, one of the focuses that we have as our purpose is to work with people with disabilities and barriers. And obviously one of those populations is the military. When I retired from the Army, it was quite a shock. So I was medically retired, which means I went through an assessment, I went through a medical board, and before I knew it, I was out on the street. I was a civilian, and it was quite a shock. It was a culture shock to me. I had been sent through the VA to get rated because I was injured, and that's why I was medically retired. And they just ran me through the process. And being, a soldier, you just kind of go where they tell you to go and do what you're supposed to do. And at the end of the day, they gave me a rating. They say you're going to receive this check each month and have a good life. And next thing you know, you're out there and you're just on your own. You don't have your comrades. You're trying to adapt to civilian life and civilian culture. And it was a lot to do. I was lucky. I had a military or I had a computer background in the Army. And so I was able to obtain a job very quickly as a system analyst for the state of California or for the city of Paramount in California. And it wasn't until 20 years later, after I had been retired, that I actually started to discover what veteran benefits were out there. And I only discovered this because here in Salt Lake, I do a lot of work with the homeless, and that includes homeless vets. And trying to get them into the right services and the help that they need to be successful in employment, I started discovering what resources were out there, and I was shocked that I was out for 20 years and I never even heard of most of these programs. And it was then that I got reevaluated. I started seeing what benefits I had as a retired soldier. And now today, I make it my purpose to really help and partner with the VA to make sure that our veterans out there know that these resources are available. And so when Jen asked me to present with her, I was more than willing, because this is very important. And trying to reach vets is very difficult, I can tell you. They don't ask for help. And identifying soldiers is the first step, as Jen was saying, to get them to even realize that there's something out there that can help them, that will benefit them and their families, because they're not going to come in most places and ask for that help. We're going to need to reach out and be proactive in their lives as we work with them as clients and as employees and even as neighbors. And that's my soapbox, and I will step off now and let Jen take back over. Oh, wait, we do have one more slide. We can't end without some humor. As a brotherhood, sisterhood, we like to razz one another. Although we are one, we all have this lifelong bond as veterans. As service members, we just like to give each other a hard time. So on this slide, for those who can't see the slide, the first picture says Army Strong. And then there's a soldier holding another soldier's arm or hand. And the soldier who's holding the other soldier's hand looks like he's crying as a technician sticks a needle into his arm. The second one is the new Navy PT program, and they are at a playground. All these Navy personnel are sitting on swings, and it shows them kind of just lounging about. The third slide, or the third picture, is, it says Marines are the ultimate bums. And it shows a bunch of Marines laying basically in the street. You know, as soldiers, we often don't have any sleep, and so we sleep anywhere. But the Marines are the ultimate bums because they will sleep anywhere, eat anything, ask you for a dip, cigarettes, money, and alcohol. And then the next picture is the U.S. Coast Guard. And below it says, plain pretend Navy since 1915. And it shows a bunch of Coast Guard guys on top of a flight deck, pointing imaginary weapons in different directions. And then the last one says, meanwhile, in the Air Force, and there's these two Air Forcemen, and they're just plague shooting, and the dialogue boxes say, pew, 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 he, he. Oh, I'm all like, pew, pew, pew. I know, ha, ha, pew, pew. We're going to go get Subway after this, okay? So, anyway, that is all I have.
Thanks, Rob. It is always fun. We like to have presenters come and talk about military culture, and there's typically always a slide, always some conversation of you know, them kind of joking around with each other. So that's great. Thanks for sharing that. I guess what I want to kind of play off what Rob said was for our Cover to Cover program in fiscal year 2016, we served in Utah, we served 1,166 veterans. And that year we asked every time of those clients, when they called the first time, we asked them, had they ever connected to the VA for benefits prior to calling the agency? And 64% had never connected to the VA for benefits. So I think it is, as Rob said, I mean, we have an opportunity to help veterans get connected, because many of them just don't seek it out, either because they don't know that they're eligible, it's too overwhelming, and so sometimes they don't try or they give up. And as you'll hear, oftentimes that they will say that they that somebody deserves it more. And so I think it's just to understand the culture and trying to develop that trust, you know, to see if there's a potential of helping them get connected to another possibility of benefits. So I'm just going to wrap up here. We're going to have times for a couple more questions if you have them, but I wanted to provide some more resources on how you and your center could learn more about this new culture and language. I highly recommend a online module called PsychArmor. They have some great, they're like 15 to 20-minute modules on the branches, on the 15, the one I really like is the 15 things veterans want you to know. And so that's something you could do in your staff meeting, is just sit in, like run it and let everybody watch it. And then also invite the VA, you know, start to reach out and ask the VA staff if they would make a presentation for you. And then ask those in your agency to provide, you know, their experience about, you know, their experience in the military. Why did they select the branch that they served in? What job did they do when they served? So, you know, those kind of questions really can be valuable to what we found. The more we learned about the culture and language, the more confidence that staff had in engaging with veterans. And then I'm just leaving this, again, a lot of my slides are, you know, hopefully going to be a resource to you. I have a fairly long list of VA acronyms that, you know, you can have to review, as well as a link that, because there's so many acronyms. And I think that's always important that we're aware of learning those, but also we have our agencies have a set of our own, right? So we need to learn each other's language so that we can better coordinate care, get veterans connected to their benefits. Okay, so this last slide again, for those that have served in the military that are on this call today, thank you for your service. My information is on here, as well as the utadrc.org website that has more information about the program and resources. So I just want to thank you all for joining us today. This is a great passion of mine. I think that we do have a great opportunity to engage with our veterans within our community and kind of figure the system out so that we can help navigate and help our veterans get connected. So that's all we have. We're open for questions.
Thank you so much, Jen and Rob, for that wonderful and informative presentation. I do have the question and answer box open. If any of the attendees have a question for Jen or Rob, give it a couple minutes for you to type your question into the Q&A.
There is one question on the participants list, so go ahead.
So I'm just wondering, is there any specific age limit or age limit for someone to be a veteran? Because I know there are some young veterans and there are some old, and if there is any age limit for benefits.
No, there's no age limit, though there may be some benefits that you may need to be in a certain age to receive. But once you're a veteran, you're always a veteran. It would just, if you're looking from a benefit standpoint, there are certain benefits that you have had to serve in combat to receive, but there are many benefits that are not at all connected or need to be related to that. So again, if you got back onto that, finding your local VA and looking up, finding out who your eligibility specialist is, that would be a great person to say, hey, we'd love to, get an overview of eligibility.
Thank you, Jen. We do have another question about some more information or elaboration on the Cover to Cover program and the benefits for widows.
Sure. So again, I, as the program manager, I do a lot of facilitating of putting these training events together, kind of specialize in the navigation of the VA, but unfortunately I am not so much a specialist on the benefits. So that would be typically widows, that would fall into VBA, so the benefit side. So that you would want to connect with somebody at your closest VBA or regional office, as well as veteran service officers know these benefits very well. So again, tapping in to say, hey, is there any way that you could provide a training for us? What we found with the Cover to Cover program is when we asked the VA to come in and provide a training for us, that was what developed the partnership. We kind of thought it would be two separate things. We'd be good training and then we'd be building partnerships, but that really created a great way for us to start working together as a team. So that would be my recommendations to learn more about those benefits. Find your local veteran service officer and they can provide more information. Of course, the VBA website, the benefit part of that upper tab, you could look at yourself, but the personal connection and developing that relationship really long-term, I think is your best bet.
Thank you so much. There is a question I'd like to address to all attendees. Will a copy of the slides from this presentation be available on the April website? The answer is yes. All sessions and recordings will be available on April's conference website, so you will have access and be able to revisit them after the presentations you're attending. Great question there. There's another question. It says, our local VAMC isn't really enthusiastic about expanding their veteran-directed care program. For those who are part of this system, do you have any insight how to get over this hurdle?
Well, this is what I'll share. I know exactly what you're talking about. You know, I will take it from a program from the Independent Center in Colorado Springs that I've worked with them closely on some projects. And, you know, there, I thought they just had a brilliant perspective, is that they really worked with their veterans to advocate for that program. So they had veterans call in and say, hey, I've heard about this program, I'm interested in it, and really had veterans advocate for the program. And for them, it really helped grow that program. So I hear your frustration on that. And so that would be one suggestion. There's also the caregiver support program just expanded, and it is expanded to older veterans. And I'm happy, if you want to email me, I can send you out a link. But it's pretty exciting, and you know, they're providing a stipend for caregivers. There's a long list of eligibility, like being 70% service connected. So there are some challenges, but it is an additional resource that just went off. I think it kicked off October 1st. So you've got my email here. If you want more information, I'm happy to send it and help you navigate who to contact to maybe do a training for you.
Thank you so much, Jen. We are about 4 minutes away from closing. It looks like I have another question. We might have time for one additional if anyone wants to ask anything. But this question, it's kind of more of a statement if you want to mention or elaborate further, but it says, might be good to mention that a veteran with a 100% disability rating from the VA can also receive SSDI.
That's great. Yes. And 100% service connected opens, you know, many doors through healthcare and other benefits as well. So yes, I mean, I know you guys, you're probably just sitting there going, okay, now I'm really hungry for more information about the benefits piece. And that's exciting. Again, I hope this workshop helps you start to navigate on how you can reach out to those in your community that can provide those more in-depth training, because there is a lot of info, but you have resources in your community.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I'm not seeing any additional questions. I'd like to take this opportunity to share a sincere thank you to both Jen and Rob, our interpreters and closed captioners as well, and especially to all of our attendees today. I think this is where Sarah will make the plug for the evaluations to complete for this session. And thank you so much for all of your time today. Enjoy the rest of the conference.
I am, and it's going into the chat right now. So if you'd like to just take a minute and fill out that survey, that would be great. Thank you both for everything. This was great information.